Hello, today I wanted to show you my Commodore 128 and also the idun cartridge. So first of all, this is the Commodore 128. You do see I have a Jiffy DOS switch that's just sitting up there. I didn't want to drill a hole in my case to mount the switch, so that's how I did it. So other than that, I do have the VIC Dizer 128 to give the 40 column display an HDMI output that goes to an RGB to HDMI box that's over there. And also I have another RGB to HDMI box that is connected to the VDC port for the 80 column display, and that's what you're seeing there is the 80 column display. We'll switch back and forth. So what is an idun cartridge? Well, there it is. Plugged into the cartridge port. It's basically that bottom board. It has what's called a propeller chip, and on top of it is a Raspberry Pi 02. And then I have the HDMI coming out that's connected to that monitor back there. We'll go over there in a minute. Then the power, and then a USB keyboard, and that's what's connected to it. So, and that's what comes on the screen when you first turn it on. So hold on and we'll go look at what the other monitor looks like. Here we go. That's the HDMI port on the idun cartridge connected to a monitor. It is just a Arch Linux running on the Raspberry Pi, and you can log in and use it just like Linux. The USB keyboard not only can control the Linux side, but this can also control the Commodore itself if you want to, for different reasons. Perhaps maybe the keyboard on your Commodore is broken and doesn't work, so you have a way to have another external keyboard and use your Commodore. But anyway, hold on it. Okay, here we're back at the Commodore at the 80 column screen. That's what happens when you boot up. It's going to connect the virtual drive on the idun, on the Raspberry Pi really, the idun cart, to virtual IEC device 10, but you can change that, and it gives you some basic DOS wedge commands that you can use to navigate the virtual drive on device 10 that's on the cartridge. So we're just going to press enter and ready. One of the first things we can do is go into the menu, which type go. There you go. As you can see, it has some ERAM that it merges with the Commodore's RAM, so it can run programs that are written in the Linux side on the Commodore and all kinds of things that I don't all understand, but then it has some other virtual drives and things here that you can do, and it kind of acts like MS-DOS as far as how you navigate and do things. One thing we can do is switch over to the 40 column display and see what that looks like. Mode 40. Okay, I need to switch inputs on my monitor. And there you go, there's the 40 column display in the shell. So I'm going to switch back to the 80 column because it looks better, and we're using a Commodore 128, so why not? Mode 80. And we're back, and for some reason it doesn't have it aligned correctly on my screen. I'm using this RGB to HDMI. I need to play with it some more. It used to not do this. I actually had trouble getting it to work even at all, but anyway, here we are. So let's see. One thing you can do is the arcade mode. And it can play a bunch of games that are built in, that they're freeware games that he includes with the idun cartridge SD card image, but you can also put Game-Base 64, the OneLoad 64 collection, all kinds of collections. You can just copy it over to the card over the network. Why? Well, it has both an SSH interface that you can just SSH to it, just doing it like you're doing over there, or you can, it has a web browser and you can copy files, drag and drop, and even edit files like the config file, this idun RC toml. You might need to go in there and edit the files, the configuration to change some settings sometimes. So I'm gonna, this red button here resets the Commodore, so we're just gonna do that. And we're back at there, and let's hit go and go back into the menu. And one other cool thing it can do is CPM. Now we're in CPM using the Z80 processor that's built into the Commodore 128, but it's way cooler than what you could have loaded from a floppy disk back in the day. It has a lot of extra stuff in it and a lot easier to use, so it's kind of fun. I used to go through all that and load all kinds of CPM software. There's games and stuff like that. It's not too terribly exciting, but it's there. So what else do we want to look at? You know, in that menu, there's commands called browse. Is there file browser to look around? So let's look at that. Go back into the Go. Browse. And you know, it's kind of like a file browser. You can do stuff like that, and you saw the mode command, mount disk images. You can in the DOS shell, you can CD directly into D64 images and launch stuff, you know, without having to mount them like you would with other things. We do the CPM. Let's reset one more time, and we'll look at how you can actually control the Linux side of it from the C64. All right, one more time. Let's go. Linux. Oh no, we can type F7, and that does it. Now we're in the Linux shell, and we can do everything as if we were SSH'd in, or actually over that other monitor directly on the console. So there's stuff like that. Now, there's like and of course this thing, you loaded up a game, you saw that, but this thing can do so many more things, and the developer at this idun cartridge has tons of videos that you can watch that are very detailed, that can show you exactly how all this stuff works, all the things it can do. Plus it's an active project, and he's updating it and adding new features. There's a Discord server where he talks about some of the stuff he's doing. People ask questions. So, and it's not terribly expensive compared to, say, like an Ultimate 2+L or something like that. So especially you can just buy your own Raspberry Pi and put it together yourself. I don't have a case on my idun cartridge. It does come with one, but I just find it easier not to have the case on it. So that's my decision. But other than that, I think that's long enough for this video, and kind of a quick introduction on the idun and Commodore 128. Thanks so much.